This is Dwight Crowley with the Dewight Show. I'm the owner of DH Tiny Home Thrift Store and DwightHouses.com. We are a ministry that is intending and hoping to be able to build tiny homes and develop tiny home villages for low-income people so that they don't have to go live in the woods. But this is the first episode, and it's okay if it's not that great because, like I said, it's my first episode. I'm just now figuring out how to do it and trying to get comfortable with doing it. You know, a lot of people have a problem talking in the public. I don't have a problem with talking in public, but just getting used to it, you know, so by the fourth or fifth one, I should have a pretty good roll on it, but this is the first one. I stutter a lot. I have a speech impediment, so sometimes that's going to be something I have to overcome. I actually have a pretty good speaking ability, but if I don't really know what I'm saying, I sit there and I stutter. So if you ever see me stuttering, that's because I'm trying to make something up, generally. So if I know what I'm talking about, I can be pretty clear on that. But the purpose of what this ministry is to build tiny homes for, and I said homeless people. I used to say homeless people. I'm trying to get away from homeless people because the moment that they have a house, they're no longer homeless. But also the term homelessness has such a bad connotation, how you say that word. Some words I just can't pronounce, so that's one of them. And so what I'm trying to say now is low income. I'm looking at low income as a way to say what I'm saying. Because what I really like to do is try to catch people before they go to the streets. People that are on the streets now, yes, I'm more than willing to help them, but I'm also more concerned about people who are just about to lose their house. I talked to a lady today. She put her aunt into a nursing home, but she was living with her aunt in a camper, and she's got to pay her rent and stuff out of this. So now she doesn't have her aunt's income because the nursing home's taking all that. So just with her income, and I think she's on, disability check, and so she's in a situation right now. She's okay. But that could change real quick. She's paying $450 a month for the campsite, and then she's paying $450 for her camper. And I'm not, that leaves her a little bit of money, after to pay insurance, insurance, and then she got a truck payment. So she's not got a whole lot of money after she pays all her bills. But one thing can go wrong, and she can lose all three that she owns for some stupid reason. And this woman wouldn't survive too well on the streets. You can tell. I can tell by looking at them. How long they're going to last for the most part. I started hitchhiking when I was 14. I'm well adapted to that lifestyle. I know what to look for, what to avoid. So that's an instinct that I have, that people who work their life and lived in a house all pretty much solid most of their life, they probably won't even realize what it takes to be able to be on the streets, the strength that it takes, the gumption, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If anybody even knows what gumption means anymore, I'm not sure, and I didn't know what it means. But those are the people that I want to help. The people that have been out on the streets 10, 15 years, that's the lifestyle that they pretty much chose. It's the lifestyle I chose. So it's not something that, I'm afraid to back away from. If I end up on the streets next month, then I'm back on the streets. That's not a big deal for me. I can lose all this, and it would hurt because of all the effort and work that I put towards it and try to build it up the way it is. It would really suck to lose all of it because then I didn't accomplish anything. I spent a year and a half just spinning my wheels and didn't do nothing. So that part would suck. But if I can go into the next phase, then I feel like I'd accomplished something, which is building tiny homes and putting these tiny home villages together. The purpose of doing this podcast it's kind of multifold, you know. One, I like to promote the store, so if this helps me promote the store and get more people coming in, then that's the first immediate. The second is I am trying to build up my YouTube channel, and I've been working on it. I don't know if you know this, but I wrote my music. I put all the songs that I wrote, and I used AI to generate the music for it, and as a result of that, I've been able to put a CD together. And I've been posting all those videos on my YouTube channel. Well, with that, I got over 1,000 hours of, this hat's a little tight. Uh, I got over 100 hours of viewing time. I got several different subscriptions. I've gained 20 subscriptions in the last month and a half. So I got viewing time. I got subscriptions coming. So getting my YouTube channel to a point that it can start what they call monetizing it, you know, it's got ways to go, but based on what I saw doing these podcasts and doing the little shorts from it, I got something flying around here. The little shorts that I'm doing that I can make from them, I think I can get it to monetize here pretty quick, and it's a good thing because I need it. You know, honestly with you, I don't know if the store is going to be here next month or the month after. I am behind on my bills right now, so I really could use some people to come in and buy stuff. I'm getting a lot of good donations. I got a lot of good stuff. People coming in. I'm getting a lot of good compliments. Right now, I think I got 8 Google reviews and all 5 stars on them. So I'm getting good reviews. People are liking the store, you know, but financially, each month I'm doing a little bit worse. And basically, I got behind back last December. I got behind on my rent, and I get almost caught up, and then I fall back behind. So I almost get caught up, and so I'm using money from this month to pay for last month, and you know, I still got a power bill from last month that I got to pay. It's a $400 bill, and so I'm like $1,100 behind on the rent. So it's just a significant number. You know, if I was $500-600, that ain't so bad. $1,100, that's pushing it. So if I don't get caught up and start getting paid in on that, you know, I can see the landlord saying, hey, you know, we might have to look at something different here. And I can completely appreciate that, you know. But as like I told him, you know, he asked me if there was going to be more coming in this month. And the only way I can say that is if I get it. If I have it, I'll definitely give it to him. But, you know, I don't get a paycheck for what I'm doing here. I get room and board. I try not to spend a whole lot of money on food. I use, we got a food pantry here, and I do eat a lot of the food off of there. But when I go to the grocery store, generally it's about 3 times a month. And it's hard not spending $70 just getting basic stuff, you know, bread, milk, eggs, you know. And I eat hot dogs, but I prefer those the jalapeno and cheese hot dogs. Got a little bit more flavor to them and stuff. A little bit more expensive, but you know, like I said, I do eat regular hot dogs, but I don't eat those as much as I do those other ones. And then, you know, so maybe once or twice a week, I actually got a double pack this time. I'm trying really hard. I mean, yeah, I'm saving money on my rent. I'm not having to pay rent. I'm saving $1,000 or so by not being there, having rent. But at the same time, me being here isn't costing the store that much more. You know, just a little bit of power bill and a little bit of water is all that's extra costing. But I also look at it this way, because I'm here and I'm night security. Been here a year and a half when we haven't been broken into. So I think in a sense I've actually saved the store a lot of money by staying here, because we're not having to replace windows and doors and locks and losing merchandise and, you know, having the register ripped open and get the change out of it. So, you know, it's either here or there, you know. And after all of this is said and done, all I really want is one of those little tiny homes in the tiny home village for myself. Yeah. Okay, slow down. Slow down. So like I said, this is the first one, and it's a little weird, for me. I mean, I don't even know there's anybody in there right now watching. Joe was here for a little bit, but it says nobody's there, so I don't guess anybody's watching. But we're recording this, and I'm going to be putting it on thing. The format that I want to do is basically start off the show. We're going to have I'd like to have a guest host sitting next to me every day, and a different guest host. And this guest host is going to be somebody from the community, whether it's a pastor, a business owner, or just somebody that says, "Hey, yeah, I want to be your co-host." And so that's what and so bring somebody different every time. So I mean, a different energy for me to feed off of. I got a dozen chairs, and there's some really nice, soft, comfortable chairs, so people can sit here and watch it live. It'd be cool if I could sit here actually talking to real people, because then I feel like I'm actually talking to people. We're talking to the screen here. It kind of feels make believe, So, and I think my energy really comes from other people, and so I think that'll make a big difference. We'll see what happens, So if you're out here and you're local here in Pickens County, and you would like to come out here to be in the studio audience, it's I ask that you be here by 6:45, so that way we can be set in place, use the restroom, whatnot. So that way we don't have a whole lot of. I mean, it'd be hard for me to stop, get up, and go open a door, so let somebody in, because that kind of throws off the thing. So what I'd like to have is the guest host here. And I would love to have somebody on this end here, kind of a on-screen producer. So they could be sitting here, and if there's questions that come up on here, instead of me trying to take a second to read it, they can just ask the question of me, and then me and the guest host can react to it. So that's kind of the way I see the setup for the whole program to go. So, and I'll try not to say so much, but that's one of the things. Toastmasters. You haven't heard of Toastmasters? They teach you how to talk, and that's one of the things that I'm doing with this episode, and probably the first couple episodes, kind of get the ramble going. And actually, I feel like I got the ramble going pretty good. I mean, me running my mouth is not a problem, but like I said, I mean. Like right now, I don't know if anybody's in here, so I may be just recording. And, if anybody's out there, just give me a hands up or something, because I can't really see if there's anybody there. Normally it says when there's a couple people in there, it shows a number. But I've learned that it doesn't always show the number and there's somebody there, So I see a little green light over here, but I don't know if that's just being on or what. Let me see if I can adjust that a little bit. So that's kind of the way the layout, a live audience, a co-host, and a producer over here. And that's kind of the show. And I like to start off with the first 10, 15 minutes of it, talking about the news of the day, whatever big stories are going on, and kind of get our perspective on that. I just looked it up a second ago, the top 5 news stories, and they're all about football. So I can almost assure you that there probably won't be a whole lot of talk about football on this program. If that's what you're into, great. I have no interest in it. I have no concept. I know the game, and I used to watch it back in the day, but I just never really got into it. I don't have a favorite team, whether it be football, baseball, basketball. Have really no interest in basketball. Basketball's on the same level as soccer. About the only sport that I can watch and appreciate, and that's golf. And that's just because I used to play a lot of Wii golf, and I see the virtual golf courses, and I like watching how the golfers play on the real course. So other than that, I don't really watch any other sports, and it's been years since I watched golf. So me and my wife, when we got done with the flea market, it was relaxing on Sunday afternoon to come home and sit there and watch golf, because it didn't require a whole lot of thought on our part. It wasn't news. It wasn't anything. It was a great escape, so, but other than that, I'm not into sports. Politically, I've always said that when I'm around conservatives, I come off as a liberal. When I'm a liberal, I come off as a conservative, so I'm middle of the road on a lot of those things. I am not a big Trump supporter in the sense that some people are Trump supporters, but I do appreciate Trump and his presidency. Trump is the apprentice guy. Trump as a guy growing up, he was just some rich blowhard that, had no interest in whatsoever. But I do appreciate what he's doing as far as president is gone on most part. Some things I disagree with, where he ran all the homeless people out of Washington, D.C., I understand what he's doing, but we'll get into it long down the road, but my feelings about homelessness is probably not the same feelings that a lot of people have. I believe people have a right to be homeless. I don't think there should be a law saying that you have to live somewhere. I share this with you. I went to the penitentiary so I wouldn't have to be on probation. In Florida, I was arrested for grand theft auto because I got drunk one night before I went into the service. I violated probation. I was on 3 years probation. Within 6 months, I violated because I was a drifter, and I just started hitchhiking around the country. I felt caged, which, in a sense, I was, because I couldn't leave the county that I was in, which was Lake County, Florida. And there weren't really a whole lot of opportunities for me. And so, yeah, I didn't really appreciate being on there. So what I did was when I got arrested, routine traffic stop, and I got picked up for the warrant, and they sent me back. And they wanted to give me 3 more years on top of the 2.5 years I had left, which means I would have been 5.5 years of probation. And I opted to go to prison rather than go to do 5.5 years of probation, which I felt I can go 5 years and be fine and then violate and end up having to do it anyway. So I figured I would go to prison and get it out of the way. And, and I ended up doing 4.5 months in the penitentiary on an 18-month sentence. I got it reduced quite a bit, so I kind of gamed the system there a little bit. But, so 6 months later, after I got arrested the second time, I was free to go about the country and do whatever I wanted to do again. So that was the purpose. And so people to say, you shouldn't be homeless like there's some kind of disease. And for me, it was a lifestyle choice. I love going around. I did Super Bowls. I sold Mardi Gras, Kentucky Derbies, rodeos, circuses, carnivals. And that was my thing. It was, hey, cotton candy, sweet and dandy, make a dentist very happy, get your ice cold cotton candy. You've got genuine powder type, bonafide guaranteed air guitar, play your own milli on the MTV. So, that was my thing, That was the way I made my money. I sold over $1 million worth of cotton candy in my youth. So, but it was more expedient for me to live in my vehicles or stay in motels, and than have a house. Because, I'd be in Ohio one week, Philadelphia the next week, Dallas the next week, New Orleans, and so, I was traveling all over the country. And so to have a house, say, in Florida, which I went to Florida quite a bit, for different events and stuff. But to have a house in Florida and I'm not there for 6 months out of the year, why pay for that place there, So it was just more easier and convenient for me to be a drifter. And it was my life choice to be a drifter. That doesn't mean I was a bum. That doesn't mean I was walking down the highway all the time with a duffel bag. Sometimes I did. But doesn't mean that's how I lived my life all the time. I made real decent money. If you go out today and you made $4,000 this week, you think you had a great day. Well, back in 1980s, I went out and I made a $4,000 weekend, and that was absolutely beautiful money. That was more money than most people see in their regular work jobs. Motel rooms were $20. Gas was 75 cents a gallon. Minimum wage was $2.35 an hour, $2.65, something like that. Uh, so for me to go out and make $4,000 in a week or even $2,000 in a week was really, really good money. I mean, I walked out of events, had a car blow up on me, worked the event, and walk out and go and bought another $400 or $500 car, which a $400 or $500 car back then is the same car you go pay $10,000, $15,000 for now. So I mean, it was real easy. I never stayed without a vehicle for too long. Sometimes they blow up, sometimes they crash, so sometimes you just run them down to the ground too. But I love my life. I had a great life. I've been to all 4 coasts. I've swam in the ocean on the east and the west side of the Pacific and Atlantic. I swam in the Gulf of Mexico. I swam in a couple of different Great Lakes. Not all of them, but a couple of them. Been to Canada on the Niagara Falls side. I've been to Mexico through Brownsville, Texas. And I never had any interest going more than a mile or two in either one. It was just enough to say, hey, I've been there. And so I went there. And I've been to Mexico a couple of times. I went to Canada when I was a kid. But, I mean, my parents took me there. So I didn't really see a whole lot. But I think it was just the backside of the Niagara Falls, which is in the Canada side, I think is all we really did. And I can say we did it, but I really don't have a whole great lot of memory about that, a lot of good memories in Mexico. Certain people have to have a certain type of lifestyle. Does not mean that there's something wrong with them. Just because it's not your lifestyle doesn't mean, and there are some people who are on the streets just because they are socially inept to be able to maintain any kind of reasonable relationship with a job or even their family. I mean, you all probably have family that you don't associate with because they're kind of weird, so that's one of the things that, those people are the ones I kind of want to help, those ones that don't quite fit into societal manners, there's a lot of older folks. I met a woman, 85 years old, living in her van in Florida because she got swindled out of her house. This was not a woman who deserved to be in that situation at all. And it wasn't that she was a reprobate type person. She was showing me her CDs, the CDs, but they were recordings of a recording studio of gospel music that she did in her teens, 45 and 40s and the 50s, that she made recordings of gospel songs. So this woman lived a life that was probably pretty kosher throughout her whole thing. So she was the last person that I would expect to see on the streets like that, but no, nevertheless, that's where she was. Those are the people that I want to help. I see people with disabilities and stuff who, to be honest with you, some of these people with disabilities are kind of hard to be around. Some of them are kind of needy. So those people, they don't have the family around them because they went through such a process of their disability, and learning how to deal with it. And some of them didn't really learn how to deal with it properly, because they got family putting them off, shunting off, and not supporting them, not necessarily financially, but, just giving somebody, somebody that's got a disability, you have to give them a little bit of leeway. You can't expect the same thing from somebody that's disabled as you can from somebody that's not disabled. You can't expect the same thing from somebody that's mentally challenged as somebody that's not mentally challenged. So you try to, and a lot of people's society especially puts a set of rules that you have to abide by. But every person pretty much kind of have to have their own rules applied to them. Some people require a certain set of rules that, doesn't necessarily apply to everybody else. So that's where, the communities that I want to put together, so people that are, they're talking about reopening asylums and stuff like that. in a sense, I would like to create some communities that have an asylum aspect to it. Tiny homes, places where they can be alone, and a community that they can be a part of. But there be staff there that can kind of maintain and moderate, make sure that they're taking their medicines the way they're supposed to, and and if they're not doing their medicines and stuff, then having some kind of disciplinary reaction so that they do have to follow along with it. I don't think that when it comes to that, I don't necessarily think everybody needs to be taking drugs to maintain their things, because we'll get into that in later episodes and stuff about doctors and drugs and medical fields and stuff like that. But especially mental health. There's other things that we can do. But I think by having a community of people and community of people that understand those particular types of people, which would be other people like them, I think would help a lot of them out. They'd be able to overcome a lot of their issues a lot more, because they got people that are supporting them. And if they see other people working a program and they're overcoming their shortcomings, then it would give them the incentive and, to, and say, hey, okay, if they can get themselves better, then maybe I can get myself better too. There was a guy that come in the shelter, I won't say his name, but when he came in, he was out there. He had some really weird concepts and some really weird body actions and stuff. And I did not expect him to last at the shelter there for very long. I figured either he was going to do something to screw up, or they were going to run him off just because he was annoying. But like I would say maybe 6 months later, he was still there. And I was surprised at the transformation that he had, because he wasn't really the same guy after 6 months of after sleeping in the same bed, eating meals regularly, not having to deal with the craziness of being homeless and all the craziness that you have to deal with, and people walking around looking at you and like you're the worst fart they ever smelled. And so I was actually surprised at the transformation. He was still a little weird. He wasn't completely, but he was doing a lot better, and he was maintaining. He got a job. I know he's not, I don't think he's at the shelter any longer. I think he's left a while ago, and I'm not certain what his story is, but, and I wasn't at the shelter when he left, so I'm not exactly certain what transpired and why he actually left, but I hope it's because he got a job and got himself together. So next time I see Tracy, I'll ask. It's not her responsibility or her place to tell people other people's business, but if there's anything she'd like to share with me, I'll ask her about it and see if there's anything she can share. Let me know. If it was something bad, she probably won't say much. If it was something good, she'd probably brag on it a little bit. So if it's something good, you don't mind talking about it, but if it's something bad, she probably won't. So like I said, this is my first one. I'm doing it, and I'm shooting from the hip here, which is generally the way I live my life anyway. So that's easy for me to do this. Like I said, I have an idea of how I want to do this, but it requires other people, and I would really like other people to get involved, not only in this podcast, but in the store, in the building of the tiny homes, and this ministry that we're doing. And I have a lot of people volunteering and then not showing up, or they show up once or twice and then they stop showing up. And I had a lady come in today, and she told me, she says, kind of insultingly way, but not trying not to be insulting. But she claimed that if she come in here and displayed my merchandise, that it would sell a lot better. She would help out my sales a lot if she come in and she displayed the stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I got 40 years experience doing this, It's not not about the way that the stuff is displayed. I actually have my stuff displayed very good, and it's very easily seen, the prices on it. I got it categorized, so that I took a little insultingly, you know, like she knows more than me. I've been doing retail sales in many, 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 many different situations. I've set up on street corners. I've set up in festivals, you know, and had my own booth setting up with tables, hanging stuff on the wall, shopping carts with big sales on them, cages that we wood cages, and I'd have a ton of merchandise going into Mardi Gras. You know, I know how to display stuff, you know. So, and I told her, I said, the problem isn't about the way I got stuff displayed. The problem ain't about the prices that I got on it. I said, the problem is my parking lot. You know, the location where I'm at is good location because a lot of people see where I'm at. One of the situations is where I'm at. If I had a stop sign or some way for the people to slow down, it would make it a little bit better for me. But where I'm at, it's a stretch where they just kind of, and a lot of people say, you know, they plan on coming, but they forget until they see me, and they don't see me until after they pass, and they're doing 45 miles an hour. So they either got to go up the road one way or the other and turn around and come back. You know, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I think the biggest issue is the fact that my parking lot, I mean, I get 4 cars in the parking lot, it's pretty much full. But I have the back part of the parking lot that I'm trying to get filled in, and I want to merge it with the parking lot of the store next to me, where it'll look like I got one big giant parking lot here, which when that's done, I mean, you can probably fit 100 cars between this parking lot and the next parking lot, and I can use the person's parking lot next door. It's a construction crew that comes in early in the morning. They all load up in the truck, and they go, and they come back later in the evening, generally right about time I'm closing or right after I'm closing. And so all day long, that parking lot's empty. So if you ever come by and you'd like to come to the store, but you see my parking lot full, just park next door. You know, you have to walk a little bit further, but, you know, it's closer to walking from there than it is to pulling into Miracle Hill and walking into their thing, you know, and they, you know, so it ain't that far of a walk. You know, it's not like it's across the, you know, it takes a lot, you got to walk a lot farther to get from the parking lot to Walmart, you know, so, and that's, unless you get right there in front, and probably 9 times out of 10, I'm having to park at the back because all the front ones at the closer to the front are full. So a lot of times I go in, I don't even try to look for one in the front, and I just go right to the back, you know, because it's easy to get in, easy to get out, you know. Sometimes, but every once in a while I get one closer to the door if I'm coming in the other way, and I just happen to see one. It's like, ooh, okay, I get this one. So yeah, like I said, if you know, I do need help here at the store. I need help with building the tiny homes. I need help with this. One of the things that, you know, upset me most about all this is the lack of help that I've been getting. You know, I pretty much thought that by now we would already be building tiny homes. You know, if we're building a tiny home a month and selling it to the community, there would be no problem with money. I would have money for the store. I would have money to pay people to build tiny homes. I'd have people pay money to help me work at the store. And, you know, I can understand people can't work for free, especially as much as I am. But, you know, if you got an extra 4 hours to come over and just, you know, sort clothes or, you know, just to rearrange stuff. I mean, that stuff on the shelves does need to be rearranged from time to time. Well, I got people buying stuff, so there's holes. And then as that stuff comes in and I'm putting it back out there, a lot of times I fill those holes up, you know. And so, yeah, after a while, that section needs to be taken apart and put back up there, and it can be rearranged into a thing. But you can't do that on a daily basis. You know, I mean, to do this one shelf here, you're talking about 4 hours rearranging that. By the time you pull everything off and put it back on there, it's 4 hours. So a lot of the people come in here and they think, well, I can do this easier than, you know, it'd be easy. And the work is easy. It's just time consuming. And then actually after 4 hours of moving stuff around, you're ready to take a little nap, you know, especially for my age. So, I mean, I do straighten out all day long, constantly pulling, you know, especially whenever donations come in, I try to get them out as fast as possible. If my racks are full and I don't have any place for it, then I'll put it downstairs. But if it's something really cool that comes in, then I'm going to try and get that out there on the shelf, especially if I think it's something that's going to sell fast. You know, so all day long there's stuff coming in, and I'm putting stuff out, and I'm constantly rearranging. But yeah, coming in and helping me to rearrange would be cool. I mean, I would like to build picnic tables. I would like to build dog houses. I would like to build a lot of different stuff that I can actually build. I have the knowledge, I have the tools, and I have some of the supplies to do that, you know. But I can't build those if I'm running the register and bringing in donations or rearranging shelves, you know. So I would love to have somebody that would come in and run the register, which again, another whole issue there. You know, it's got to be somebody I can truly trust, and you know, that I can leave the store for 4 hours and go over next door and build a tiny home, or not a tiny home, but a dog house and a picnic table, even dining room tables and stuff. There's all kinds of tables that I know how to build, and they come out pretty cool. You know, my stepping stones is something that I really like to make. And this is the second year. I was planning on doing some last year. Didn't have the time to it because I was working a full-time job and running the store. And so and I had somebody here at the time that could run the register for me, but I still didn't have enough time to do everything that I needed to do there. And so some stepping stones is something that sells better in the springtime than the summer and the fall, because people ain't working in their gardens. So it's kind of a springtime thing. And I was going to do it again this year, but I don't have nobody running the register now, so I never did get a chance to start that. But a lot of the glassware that I get that I know I can't sell, and I got cases upon cases of glassware. And what I want to do is I want to put that in a cement mixer and tumble it and make little tiny glass pebbles. And out of that, I want to put that in the cement mix that I make so that they'd have a little bit more texture and, with the little sparklies on it and stuff because of the glass. I think that's going to help make my stepping stones even cooler than the ones that I made before. And I got plenty of glass to do that. And, so I mean, there's a lot of different things that I can make that would bring money into the store. Even a dog house, they sell from $100, $200, $300, probably $200 to $300 nowadays. So those would be bringing in some good money. And then, and I put one or two out there, that I can sell, but they're also samples. And somebody may say, well, I want this, I want this, I want that. I'd rather have windows on it that open, so they can actually get quite expensive. And if they know I can make this one, then they'll say, hey, I want one, with a door here, And the way I make them where you can lift up the whole thing. There's a base, but there's a hinge on them to where you can actually lift up the thing to where you want to clean it out, so it's pretty cool. And I haven't made one in a long time. But those are different things that I could make. But like I said, I just can't make them and run the register at the same time. So I would love to have somebody that would come in and work 1 day a week to where they can run the register. And that's really all they have to do. If they want to sit there and fiddle around and straighten and clean stuff up, that's cool too. But if you just want to come in and just work the register and nothing else, then yeah, I'd have a little bit of question about why you want to do just the register, And so that's another thing. So trustworthiness, and it's something that's going to be hard. And but that's really what I need. And there's going to be some times I'm just going to have to trust people to do it, and there's going to be some times I'm going to pay for it, But that's kind of like, So the only thing that really upsets me about everything I was doing here is the fact that I'm still doing everything by myself, and I can't get everything done that needs to be done, And there's people I know that, I've had a lot of people tell me, yeah, I'll come and give you volunteer. I'll come and volunteer. I am doing nothing. I'm drawing unemployment. I'm drawing disability. And, yet they don't show up, and they make appointments, say, yeah, I'll come here this day. I'll come that day. And then they don't show up. They make commitments that they will pay, that they will come and do this part and do this part, but then they never show up. So it's like, you know, and I mean, and even people come in and they'll sit there and they'll tell you, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, you know, and they, which exchange numbers and stuff. And, you know, and I tell them, you know, it's like, you're saying that's all this. I'm happy for that you do that, but I'll be more happy if you actually do it, you know, because I've had so many people tell me they're going to help and I never see them again. And what's sad is not only do I lose that volunteer because they don't come and volunteer, but I lose them as a customer because they're too ashamed to come in here now. If you ever volunteered for me and didn't, please come on in. I hold nothing against you whatsoever. You know, I understand. It's one thing to get excited about doing something. It's another thing to get your schedules worked around to where you can actually do it. You know, no problem. You know, that said, I would really like to get some people to say, hey, yeah, we'll volunteer this day, you know, for so many hours. You know, I like 4-hour shifts. I don't pay for volunteers, but I do let you have anything you want half price except for big ticket items. You know, we'll have to talk about that. But yeah, for clothing, and right now, my clothing is $1, so I'll let you have it for 50 cents a piece. You know, so but that's cheap. You know, but if you come and volunteer, I'll let you have it for half off. You know, if there's a $10 teacup there, you know, and you want it for $5, I'll let you have it for $5. You know, I mean, I'm not greedy. I'm not chintzy. You know, and there was a girl that came in here the other day, and they worked for a couple hours downstairs, her and 2 friends of hers, and the only thing that she found was a jacket that she wanted, and she bought a pair of sunglasses. I gave her the jacket, you know, because, you know, she wasn't buying a whole lot. It was a $5 jacket, you know, so I just went ahead and let her have it, and I was appreciative that she did that, and I only charged her half price for the sunglasses. And the sunglasses I actually bought and paid for, and I probably paid more than $250 for them. But I've sold enough of the sunglasses that they're all pretty much paid for, so I wasn't too worried about that, you know. But so yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to, is where people will volunteer like they say to. And if I can get people to volunteer, there's a lot more that I can do. There's a lot more that we can do. And it'll be a lot closer to get to where we need to be to start building tiny homes. All right, well, this was my first attempt, my first run.